Good morning, everybody. It's a Monday morning, June 15th, 2015. It's Weber This Week. It's a kind of a dreary Monday morning. We need to get some drying time for golfers like myself and everybody else. But hang in there. We are hopefully going to turn this around and get some nice drying weather in a few days. It's good to have you alongside on a Monday morning. I bring in my longtime friend, Rod Verkey, who hasn't been on the show for several months. It's always good to get Rod back in and get his glimpse into the world of sports, and not only from a local standpoint, but also we'll be talking about the NBA playoffs and many other topics. Rod, thanks a lot for coming in.
My pleasure, Harold.
Rod, need not introduce Rod. I'm sure all of you know Rod or know his family. Rod, of course, has been a friend of mine for many, many years. I had the proud distinction of doing a lot of play-by-play way back when his sons came through the school district, and they had a lot of game, and it was exciting to watch them play. And one thing, Rod, that impressed me about you is that Grandpa, not only did you follow your son's exploits on the various sports arenas, now you're traveling to see the grandkids play. And how many grandkids do you have now?
I have five granddaughters, which we had one just a month ago,
right.
My youngest son, Duke, and one boy, 5 girls. And as you mentioned it there, they just gave an award the other day at the Seneca Falls athletic banquet, and they made an award in honor of my mother and dad.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's, as you know, or people with a little history around here, that they went to games everywhere.
Yeah.
They liked all sports. They kind of concentrated on basketball, and they followed myself and my sons and stuff, and not only in New York State but all over the country. So it's kind of something that's been passed down to us from my parents.
I know you make a lot of trips to go to watch a lot of sporting events.
Oh, we've been all over. I wish the kids went a little closer to home, but we got our miles in.
And I'm sure you do. Listen, before we go any further, a friend of Rod's and a friend of mine, Rod's known him a lot longer than I have, Ricky Bartrand, is coming home in a few months, I understand.
He is.
And Ricky has been petitioning me for an appearance on this show to sit on the couch. Not with you, but just sit on the couch by himself. You know his sports ability or lack thereof. Can you give us any reason why I should consider him as a guest for a future show? Is there anything that he's done outstanding?
Like probably most of Seneca County, New York State,
right,
and the United States, there's a lot more people out there that are very average.
Okay.
And he could speak on behalf of the very average people.
Because I've been getting emails, Jimmy, from your friend Ricky and my friend Ricky and Rod's very close friend Ricky. He's been begging me to, when he comes home, to come on the show. I may still have him on. I just don't know what I'm going to talk about. And I don't know, but I figured you had some background on him that might be worthy.
He's got a lot of background, but not much of it is in athletics.
All right, Ricky, I hope you're checking out. He checks out this show occasionally. I'm sure when you're on today and he sees your picture with mine, he'll have comments, I'm sure. Ricky Bartrand. Rod, let's talk about the world of SU sports. I know that Jimmy's going to comment. They're turning it around. Schaefer's trying to get the program in the right direction. I see they got a nice running back, Jimmy, a couple weeks ago, 4-star. And then they just landed
Robert Washington, who,
interestingly
enough, after he signed Syracuse, they downgraded him to 3 stars.
Oh, they did?
They did. One of the services. He's still, what's the difference? He was before.
I know you get downgraded.
Yeah.
There was one on TV last night, a game, wasn't there? And he was in there.
Oh,
Washington was?
They had a SU running back.
Oh, no kidding. I missed that.
It was just a short clip I saw. But
so he got recruited as a 4, and then he comes to Syracuse, he gets downgraded to a 3.
Well, yeah, that according to whichever scouting service was ranking him, but it's tough in the world of college football to build your program from where Syracuse is back to respectability, and that's part of it.
Now the quarterback they just landed,
Rex Culpepper.
Yes, yeah. Looks like a pretty good player.
3-star from Florida, and again with all these recruits,
you never know.
I'll just say one thing: the past several years, guys like Eshak Williams, who went to Notre Dame over Syracuse, and there was probably about 5 high-profile recruits that we were late in contention for that we didn't end up getting. All 5 of them were total busts at their school, whether it was Notre Dame or I can't even remember their names, but there was an article in the Post-Standard that listed all these guys that we were all hoping we'd get, and then we didn't get them, and they ended up being busts. Maybe they would have done better at Syracuse, but then again maybe not. I'll wait till the guys get on campus before I get too excited about them.
Well, Verk, you're right. The buildup of an individual is only that. you got to prove yourself, right? On the basketball court or the gridiron.
Yeah.
Eventually, you got to show your wares.
It's not a debate, and you don't win games in the paper. So
You got to be able to play. And speaking of Syracuse, of course, the football program has got to turn around, and a lot of fans are getting anxious over it. And I'm sure the next couple of years will be indicative of whether they're going the right direction. But speaking of the NCAA, Verk, I just see the NCAA made some changes. The clock change, shot clock.
they went to the same as the girls. They went to 30 seconds, which I think is all right. I like to wait and see a little bit on these things, but I'm a guy that wasn't in favor of the 3-point line when it came out, and that's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in favor of the clock either, because I thought it takes a lot of coaching out of the game, but they both worked out very well.
And they made some changes as far as not allowing you to take all these crazy timeouts at the end of the competition.
Yeah, when you have so many TV timeouts,
Bingo.
You don't need the other ones, I think. And the game is getting drawn out like a 9-inning baseball game, which is 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
I like the no time, the less timeouts, and also the coach can't call a timeout now.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So it's got to. That used to be how it is. The players got to call a timeout.
Yeah. Now, Verk, in the recent Section 5 championships, you were honored yet again. One of your, this is continuing with the work that you've done. I believe you received is it the Vienna Award that you
Yes.
received? Explain to our viewers what that's all about.
Well, first of all, I was on the committee. I was around for so long that, unfortunately, I know all these guys.
Right.
It's Mark Vienna Award. When I first got on that committee in 1975, Mark Vienna was on that committee along with a lot of other old-time Section 5 guys that were stalwart supporters. And I was on there with him for about 8 or 9 years, and then he had some health problems and had passed away. But he was the ultimate contributor to kids in Section 5. So I was very surprised and very honored to get that award this year. But I felt good about it because I actually knew him. And I spent 39 years on that committee. And I told the guys up there, if I'd have known I was going to win this award, I'd have quit a long time ago. But it was very nice. I was very honored. It's a very nice thing to get.
As you look at Section 5, and I know it's dear to your heart, you certainly coached and you're an educator and you've watched a zillion games. Are there any changes that you would make in Section 5 basketball if you could push a button tomorrow about the way it's outlined and the way it moves from year to year? Is there anything that drives you crazy or that you're happy with the way Section 5 operates?
Well, the biggest problem we have in Section 5 and in many other sections is the non-public schools. And as it turns out, I'm on a committee right now to move teams up and down, depending on how well they do. But what our committee tries to do is level the playing field between an Aquinas and a Fairport. And Aquinas does a very good job. They get great athletes in all their sports. But it's not fair to the public schools that have to take them from within their district. And to me, I've done a lot of different committees, and this is one of the toughest. It's very difficult to do. A lot of it is projected into what you're going to do based upon what you've done in the past. And it's very difficult. In the past, it wasn't a problem. You had DeSales, you had McQuaid. McQuaid always played at the top level anyway, so they're kind of even. But for example, DeSales, which no longer exists, but if DeSales is a Class D school, gets a transfer that's a good player in basketball, well, one kid can make the difference.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
and they did when they won their sectional title. They did it with Junior Sims, a player who went to Geneva after DeSales closed and won a sectional title at Geneva, and among other players. A good example, I think, Rod, is this year Lions on their way to Glens Falls defeated RCMCS, Rochester Career Charter Mentoring School,
Yeah.
and they didn't have a senior on the team because they didn't exist for 3 years.
Right.
But now, this year, they were moved up to Class B with Minders and Northrose Wolcott, but they're going to be better this year. They had some really talented players, and so it's tough. It's tough. But on the other side of the coin, Lions beat them, and then they went ahead and beat Early College. So they beat a couple of these.
I was at both of those games.
Yeah.
And I know him pretty well, but Zach
Yeah.
did a marvelous job this year.
Yes.
He
He
did.
did. Red Auerbach could have won those games.
Yeah.
He did a great job. And the way that he beat him was those other coaches weren't very good. And I think that made the big difference. Now, if you take that whole thing and project it like to early college in Buffalo,
Right.
they don't have a committee. They don't have a committee because they don't allow non-public schools to be in their sectionals.
Oh.
But now when you get a team like early college, who's a Class C team, if I'm a coach in Class C in Buffalo, I got to be going to the President of the United States. This team should not be in there.
Yeah.
But because they have no Catholic schools or private schools, they are allowed to exist, and it just defeats their whole purpose. And they got everybody back next year also. They have a good team coming.
Yeah, they were. If you looked at the players on the court between Lions and early college for that game, early college looked like a college team.
Wow.
Maybe that's why their name is early college.
Yeah.
And Lions looked like the old Hoosiers coming in from. But they pulled it off at the end with a great backdoor play. Or no, that was a different game, but they pulled it out at the end.
Well, I know
that was the Kilmum game where he called those 2 plays.
Yeah,
excellent.
Absolutely.
Whenever I called anything, it never worked.
I don't know. I think it worked in 79, 80. When was it when you won a state title? 80.
1980. And Zach, of course, has been in the studio and been doing some of our broadcasts. Outstanding coach. You're right.
Well, and this is the trademark to me. And he went to Cuba Rushford. You know where that is? It's almost to Ohio. He went there on a Tuesday night after practice by himself to scout a game.
Wow.
Now that's 2 hours, 2.5 hours down to it. Now to me, that's the old-time coach.
Yeah.
And he deserves everything he gets. He puts his time in and works hard.
That's
I
good.
agree. And they say, Doug, that if you're gonna play a team and all things are equal, and your coach scouted the other team twice, and they didn't scout you, who's going to win the game?
That's right.
So I think that's what drives them, and you owe it to the kids, I think.
Exactly. It's Weber This Week on the 15th of June, 2015. Time for our commercial break. And by the way, as we roll into our commercial break, paying homage to our great sponsors to make this show possible, if you think you know about trivia, don't meet Rod Verkey in a bar or at a restaurant and try to convince him with trivia and try to dazzle him, because he will bury you. This guy is a trivia machine. This is Weber This Week. We'll come back after we hear from our great commercials. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquors, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Cicino's. Live, laugh, eat well. It's the Italian way. It's also the Cicino's way. Place your order today at Cicinos.com. Locations, Main Street, Waterloo, and 401 Exchange Street in Geneva. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com, Seneca Falls. Rich Rickey, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Rickey, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. And for you viewers who should know, I had my first taste of an Italian sausage sandwich at the Old at the old Newark Pilots the other night. I went over, married, couldn't make it, so I drove over. Check out the Newark Pilots. Yes, minor league ball team, but a major league park over there. It's fabulous, just fabulous. Drove in, the signage is perfect, not a single thing out of place. The field, Verk, you've watched baseball, is unbelievable the way they keep that place in shape. It's a phenomenal experience. Check out the Newark Pilots. See Bob and Leslie. By the way, Leslie, his wife, is the general manager this year. Fabulous night. I watched the game, and it was really something. And if you want to watch a baseball game and take the family out, it's very reasonable. Have some good food. It's quite a trip, so check it out.
Bob's a good man.
He is a good man. He's done a lot for that area. Yep. Rod Verkey, my special guest this morning here on Weber This Week. We always try to catch up with Rod every several months to see what's going on. Rod, I know you are a a fan of exceptional players, especially the game of basketball, which is one of your fortes. LeBron is LeBron. Steph Curry is Steph Curry. You saw some exciting basketball last night while we were playing some cards. I mean, Steph Curry just lit it up, and LeBron did everything but sell ice cream at the end of the game. Too much of Steph Curry and too much overall with the Warriors beating the Cavs and now leading 3-2 in the series.
Yeah, and I still think you got great players on both sides,
Yep.
but it comes down to your bench and your supporting cast. Mm-hmm. If you got some people that can come in and give some guys a few minutes, that's going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And to me, this Stephen Thompson is a hell of a player.
Oh, yeah.
He is. Anybody that scores 37 points in one quarter of a basketball game is something special. That is amazing.
So that series now will shift on Tuesday night, I believe. They'll play Game 6, obviously a do or die for the Cavaliers. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 7, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends, so we'll see what happens. By the way, for you hockey fans, the Blackhawks in command. I believe that's tonight. Game 6, the Blackhawks leading Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. So that could end tonight as well. As far as baseball, Major League Baseball, you know, I got this diehard feeling I'm kind of pulling for the Cubbies this year to play good. They're doing okay, the Cubbies are. I like the fact they're spending a lot of money refurbishing that old ballpark out there. I don't know if they can contend with the Cardinals, but it's nice to see the Cubbies playing good baseball for a change. And I love that new kid, Bryant.
That's kind of like the old Boston Red Sox when they didn't win for a long time, too. Everybody kind of pulls
I
for
do.
them.
I never did.
No, I kind of.
Not for the Red Sox. I'll pull for the Cubs, but not
I like
the
the
Red Sox.
Cubbies. I don't know. And I love this new kid, this young kid they sent down.
Well, it's a great atmosphere there. I went to a game there one time when Sosa was playing.
Okay.
And we sat in the bleachers, and he gives you the outs every inning, and he goes in. It's just a great interacting ballpark. How did they make out with that thing in left field there? They were going to put a big sign up.
It is.
Did they put it up?
Oh,
and it blocked the
it's
view
still
from
it's
the
up.
building across.
They're negotiating with one. There's only one owner of the building that's holding out.
Okay.
And the court system's ruling in favor of the Cubs.
That was kind of an interesting situation.
They had a story on Outside the Lines on that. There's one person that owns one of those apartments that the view is now affected, but he's going to lose in court because the judge has ruled against all the other ones.
Yeah.
So it looks good for the Cubbies.
Okay.
But I kind of like it. As far as the Yankees go, what do you expect? A lot of people didn't even think they'd be in the hunt. Not that this season is over by far, but they're hanging in. They won last night finally against Baltimore. Disappointing, of course. A-Rod, how can you say anything bad about this guy? I know he's had the drug issue, was suspended for a year. I get it. As me and Verk and Jimmy like to say, you pay your time. He paid his time. He's playing pretty good baseball. 12, 13 home runs. He's made some key hits. I mean, I don't know if the Yanks can hang on. The thing that amazes me, guys, is Tampa Bay. That looks like, some nights Colburn Park over the Omens draw more fans than Tampa Bay. Verk, did you ever see Tampa Bay on TV? Looks like about 1,200 people in the stands. It's amazing and I know they were talking about moving that franchise around down there, getting it out of Tampa Bay.
Well, there's no fans in Tampa.
Deplorable.
Everybody's from everybody.
Yeah. It's almost a joke. But they've won like 13 out of the last 15 games.
Yeah, and Joe Maddon's not there anymore either.
Joe Madden left
who knows
town.
why?
That is the most surprising baseball scenario that I see every year. How does Tampa Bay keep winning like this? They don't have Longoria. They have the kid at third. I understand, a good player. But other than that, I don't know if I can name two other players.
They got Loney there on the first base.
Amazing. Just amazing baseball.
Just to go to that stadium is crazy. There's 15 minutes of guidelines on the structure, the catwalk, what happens here and there. That's crazy baseball.
Yeah.
And the Mets, of course, are still hanging in. They're, of course, getting to Matt Harvey, the phenom pitcher, but he's young. He's just come off that Tommy John. Now Major League Baseball hitters are starting to catch up with him a little bit. He's had a couple of tough outings, giving up the home run ball, where he was unhittable there at the beginning. But as Verk knows and as Jimmy knows, a lot of the people that have had Tommy John surgery said this is a reaction to the surgery. He's trying to do some different things with his arm, and thus he's struggling somewhat.
Each case is a little different.
Each case is a little different.
But you mentioned A-Rod a second ago.
Yeah.
They're talking him for the All-Star game DH.
Did hear that.
He's one of the leaders in stats.
And by the way, I got to credit the Major League Baseball commissioner finally letting P. Rose come back in the scene. He's going to be honored or be a part of that Cincinnati thing when it's held.
He should be.
Yeah, I do too.
Should be.
You still think he should be considered for the Hall?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You think it might
Very nice.
happen?
He's got more hits than anybody.
Oh, I
How
agree.
could he not?
I
The
agree.
it's not the Angel Hall of Fame or
Yeah.
you know the.
No, I know. Oh, there's some.
Or
There's
the
some really
Decorum
good-
Hall of Fame is the Baseball Hall of Fame, and Pete Rose was one of the
Oh.
greatest baseball players ever to play.
Phenomenal.
There's only one guy in the Hall of Fame with his name in the Hall of Fame more than Pete Rose, and that's Cy Young. And that's only because his name is on every plaque that somebody gets a Cy
An
Young
award, right?
Other than that, just for awards, it's Pete Rose.
And no awards are named after Pete Rose.
Correct. There might have been. There
Yeah,
might have been.
yeah.
As you look back on this, we all, and I have been a big proponent. I know Verk and myself. I was in Geneva watching him way back when, and Pete Rose. He always seemed to be a hustler. Well, obviously he was. Then Tony Perez, some of the great legends that came through Geneva, New York. But mass murderers get out of prison sometimes after 25 years. I don't know how many years it's been that he's been. It's been a long time.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Since he's been on ice. I mean, okay, he did something bad. He gambled on sports. He gambled on baseball. And the thing that really did it, he gambled on his own team as manager. That was really the issue.
Only
that
to
they
win,
had.
and that was stupid too.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was one thing to gamble on other teams and other games, but when he started gambling on his own team, that's when they really got upset and they gave him the lifetime.
If he had been a little more humble
Yes, exactly.
at the time,
Yeah.
I think it would have been a little easier. But
My point is, you pay time in this country. You get punished. They put you in jail. My God, he's been in jail for the baseball world for a long, long time. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever get the votes necessary to get in the Hall, but at least give him consideration to be in that position.
I agree.
I mean, hey, time will tell. Hey, by the way, Verk, we're looking at the clock. We got about 7-8 minutes ago. Rod Verkey's been my special guest this morning. I know a couple of guys that I was going to talk about this, and I wanted you to make some comments about it. The Ferrara brothers, who are close friends of yours, of course, Tony and Mike. Tony retiring, you being an educator and athletic director involved heavily in the school system for many, many years. Talk a little about Tony, and Mike's about ready to toss in the hat as well. I understand he's retiring the end of August. Talk about the Ferrara brothers, who you are very close friends with, and the years that they've put into that school district, various school districts. Pretty impressive.
yeah, it's amazing.
It is.
Tony first.
Yep.
I work with him also on the Hall of Fame committee, and all the things that Tony does, we wanted to have somebody that was close to the school on the committee.
Sure.
And we picked Tony, and he accepted.
Right.
Why? I don't know. He is. If you need something done, you go to a busy guy. If he's got a thing to do on the committee, he'll get it done at 5:30 the next morning, and then he'll be in school doing all that stuff. But he gets more stuff done by 6 o'clock in the morning than most people get done by noon. And he's always done that, and he's just a dedicated individual. Mike is the same way. He hasn't done it quite as long as Tony have, but Waterloo will miss him also. He has a very structured philosophy on what to do. He's very blunt sometimes about his
That's okay. We know that.
the point that he's trying to make, but both guys have done outstanding. And of course, Mike was an outstanding Section 5 Hall of Fame.
Sure.
He's in our Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Basketball coach.
Word on the street is he may be taking over the Waterloo girls program again.
Well, not for nothing. I like Waterloo, but I'm hoping he would come to Seneca Falls and coach something.
Yeah, well.
Jerry's been doing very good and everything too. But
Yeah.
as far as my own granddaughters go, I know I wouldn't mind having Mike coach them in the future too.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So both Ferraras spending years and years in the educational field, and one's already retired, even though I hear he's doing a little work for Woody's on the side, carpet cleaning. Yeah, I did hear that. Matter of fact, I didn't hear it. They were doing my daughter's rugs up in Geneva, and Tony was there, so it's good for Tony.
And not for nothing, there also.
Yes, David, our Mr. Attorney, yes.
Tony and Mike didn't do much without David being there, or vice versa. And of course,
right.
David is an outstanding basketball official in Section 3. He gets a lot of big games and had one of the state games last year. So you got to put all three of them in the bucket there.
Speaking of officials, somebody asked me to ask you, and it just dawned on me. You brought that up. I'm glad you did before we went off the air. The grading of officials in Section 5, Verk, for years, I'm sure you had, and you might even have some input now. After every game, do the officials get reviewed by the coaches? Is that the way it works as far as grading system? How does that all work right now? It seems confusing to some people.
Section 5 is the largest section in New York State.
Okay.
We have the most schools.
Okay.
So therefore we have the most officials.
Right.
And I did that for 18 years. I was the negotiator with the things, and it went very well because our guys are professional. They don't always think about the dollar. They think about the kids and the service that's going into it.
Right.
But the officials are ranked every game by the coaches. And the varsity coaches, when they get to the game, they rank the JV guys. So it's a constant program of trying to improve what they're doing. Once in a while, you're going to get a clinker. You can't help it.
Yes.
But most of the officials in all the sports are really pretty good. This doesn't always happen in the other sections. When you go to the States, Jimmy, which you've been there several times, many sections send their guys because they're somebody's brother-in-law or that's their barber, and they don't have a ranking system to send them. And that's what happened in 1992 when Minders got that guy that was on the semis, which we almost lost.
Yeah.
He was the assigner. The guy that was supposed to do the game got an NCAA game. So he put himself on the game.
Oh, wow.
Which was wrong, and he did get, I think for 3 years, he couldn't do any postseason games after that.
Wow.
Section 5 has a good process to send our best people there. Every section doesn't do that. And as you know, most of the time leading up to this, there was only 2 officials on each game, and I voted in favor of 2 officials instead of 3 because the quality of the people that other sections were sending wasn't very good. And I didn't want another idiot on the game. Then about 8-9 years ago, I went to a game and this school from Long Island was playing, and they were the dirtiest, unsportsmanlike team I've ever seen. And they were doing stuff away from the ball that a 2-man crew couldn't cover. And right then I said, oh, we're missing the boat here. We got to put 3 guys on this ref. It's an important game. You need as much help.
And
as
it's
you
just
get.
32 minutes. These games, you know, their high school games are short games, and so calls can swing it one way or another. Careers can be ended, and
Sure. So now they go to the 3-man crew, and they have to do that in the semis on the sectionals, and it goes all the way through the states.
Interesting. Well, hey, we are almost out of time, but it's always a pleasure to have Rod in. Rod, thanks for taking some time out this morning.
I enjoyed it.
It's always good to have Rod, and he'll be back down the road, and we'll just pick up where we left off. By the way, folks, as we get ready to wrap up the show on a Monday, and I want to remind you of upcoming guests. Next week, we have the talented Sharon Holtland, the brains and the artist behind the various events at the Gould Hotel. She will be in here on the couch next week, Sharon Holtland. I'm not sure if she's bringing a guest with her. The following week, we bring in Stu Peenstra, the chief of police of the town of Seneca Falls. Stu was on several months ago. We're going to update what's happening with the police department. And then in July, we are booking dates right now. We're just wondering about our schedule here at Finger Lakes 1, whether or not we'll be open on the 6th or not.
I think we will.
You think we will? Okay, we're looking at the Historical Society. They got some fun event coming up. They want to plug that. And, by the way, one other people we have that I've contacted that we're booking a date for, and that would be the Ramada. You live after 5. I don't know about Verk. I'm too old to go to that at Friday nights. A lot of young people are there, like 700-800 of them on the water up in Geneva. Me and Mary went to the Clam Bake on Sunday afternoon where they played jazz music, Verk, for a couple hours. That was enjoyable for my age group. I don't know about you, but...
Did you take a walker over to the...
No, but I could have had a walker to get back to the car. But I'm more into that Sunday afternoon clam bake scenario where they play the music on the water via that crazy 800 people on Friday. Jason Hagerman, who's the head of the entertainment and food of the Ramada up in Geneva, along with maybe the executive chef, will be on the couch. We're looking at that for the second week of July as well. So we got some bookings down the road. If you'd like to come on the show, talk about any topic you would like to talk about, let us know through Jimmy Senacropi or email me, and we'll book you a date. If you get a hold of Jim, he'll send me the information, and we'll book you a date and get back to you to confirm it. So thanks again to my buddy Rod Verkey. It's always good to have him in. And you all have a great week, everybody, and just hang in there. It's going to dry sooner or later. That's Weber This Week.
FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com. Come on and join the